Hello and welcome to BlueTube, where we talk all things blue. Before I go on with the transfer talk video, let me just begin by apologizing for the late upload, but the reason for that is because Chelsea had a press conference at 12:30 today, which is 8:30 where I live, and I wanted to watch that press conference before I made this video because there's so many things happening around Chelsea right now, and I just knew that there was gonna be something interesting at the press conference, and I didn't want to, have to wait until tomorrow to be able to make a video about it. So I did. I just finished watching it and I'm making the video now. I'll talk about it a bit later this video, but since the video is called Transfer Talk, let's begin with some transfer talk. And the biggest news today, and I'm very, very excited about this, is that as the title says, Kenedy has been granted his work permit. Hooray! This is huge news for us. I'm very, very glad. He did start for 45 minutes in our 2-2 draw against Barcelona in pre-season. He was great for the 45 minutes that he was on. He bombed down the right-hand side. He was strong. He was fast. But he also did his defensive duties as well. And he bullied Suarez. And as I said in the match review of the Barcelona game. Sorry, guys. Sorry. As I said in the match review of the Barcelona game, he did remind me of Willian in the way that he was so strong and fast, but also in the way that he defended as well as attacked. And he looks like a great Mourinho type player. So I'm very, very happy his work permit has been granted. However, his signing isn't official yet. It's not on the Chelsea website, but it is imminent. The deal is reported to be around £6.7 million, and if you ask me, that is an absolute bargain for a player of Kenedy's quality. He's only 19 years old. I see a huge future for him, and I'm just very, very happy. And for and there are some people saying, is he gonna just go out on loan and be a nobody? I don't think that's the case, because Mourinho has made it clear, especially after the Barcelona game, that he wants Kenedy to stay because he is a great player and he did impress all of us, to be fair, in that Barcelona game. So I'm very, very happy. Hopefully it gets official soon, because we'd rather have him in the squad sooner rather than later. We don't really want to delay things, and I think that's been a theme in this transfer window. It's like, Baba Rahman, it's done. 2 weeks later, it's done, but it's not done. It's just dragging on, and I hope this doesn't become like that as well. I just hope this gets done. I can't click, but you get the point. I hope this gets done really quickly. And I really look forward to watching Kenedy play for Chelsea throughout the upcoming season, because I do think he's a great player, a great prospect, and really one to watch for the future. And now let's get to the press conference. Before we get to the juicy parts of the press conference, let me just give you some team news as it says here. By the way, all the links to the articles in the description as always. But Oscar, Mourinho has revealed that Oscar is a doubt for the Sunday clash against Manchester City. Now apparently he picked up a small injury in training, so he might play, he might not play, and the injury doesn't seem to be, severe. It's not like he's going to be out for a few weeks. It's just a minor injury, so he might play or might not play. But as he said last time, last week he said Costa is a doubt, but he played, so you never know. And to be honest, I really want to watch Oscar play because this preseason he's really impressed me. But as a team we haven't played very well. And also, he hasn't been able to put himself against the top opposition. I know we played Barcelona, PSG, but those were preseason games. And, against Man City at the Etihad in the Premier League, that would be a huge challenge. That's a massive game. So I want to see how he fares against the top-class opposition, such as Manchester City. So I really do hope that he plays, but, if there is an injury, then he won't be able to play, obviously. But I hope that it's nothing too serious and he is able to play. Now that I've got all the stuff out of the way, let's talk about the press conference, which is, really, what we all want to talk about. It's, because of everything that's happened around, regarding Chelsea this week, there are some very juicy parts of the press conference. But before I talk about it, I would advise you, if you have a Chelsea TV Fan Club Plus account, go watch stop the video, go watch the press conference, and then come back to it, just to get a sense of context and, just know what I'm talking about. And it really was an entertaining press conference. And if you don't have an account, if you're not a member, of Chelsea's fan club plus, then I'm sure there'll be a plethora of articles floating around the internet detailing everything that happened. There might even be some clips on YouTube about Mourinho's press conference. So I'd urge you to find whatever you can before you watch this, because it really is an interesting press conference. But let's talk about it. As soon as the press conference began, the first question he was asked was, is Eva Carneiro and John Fearn going to be on the bench, and do you regret any of your actions? And to that, Mourinho, he actually talked in depth about this. He talked for 2 or 3 minutes. And he talked about a lot of things. He began by saying, every club I've worked at, I've had a great relationship with, the medics. The same is true with Chelsea last season. I praised them a lot. And he talked about it in depth. And to summarize, Eva Carneiro and John Fearn will not be on the bench against Manchester City this Sunday. But something that caught my ear in that press conference was that Mourinho said this is not a permanent thing. Just because they're not on the bench this Sunday doesn't mean that they'll never be on the bench for the rest of their career. He said that just because they're not on the bench this Sunday, it doesn't mean they won't ever be on it again. And that was great news for me. And I really do hope that they do come back on the bench. Maybe Mourinho will, make them skip, 2 or 3 games. But I hope they get back, sooner rather than later, because they are really quality staff. And they're part of the crew. They're part of the team, And it'll feel weird to watch the game this Sunday without them sitting on the bench. But also, this got me thinking, what if Mourinho wanted this to be just a quiet thing, where he just kind of punishes them and leaves them out for 1 or 2 games and brings them back on? And if the media hadn't built this up so much, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because the media has blown it up, and because of, Eva Carneiro's status in football, this has been blown up to, gargantuan proportions. But I really do hope this dies down soon. I do hope they get back onto the bench sooner rather than later. And I do hope just everything is alright within Chelsea. And this brings me to another question that was posed in the press conference. And if you guys have been reading any news regarding Chelsea, you would have been reading, Mourinho's 3-season curse or whatever. You would have been seeing headlines such as that. So basically, Mourinho's never been famous for staying at a club for longer than 3 seasons. Of course, the exception was Chelsea and Real Madrid. I think he stayed 4 seasons. I think, but after something always happens to ruin the relationship. For instance, at Chelsea, he had a fallout with Abramovich, so he left. In Real Madrid, he had a fallout with Iker Casillas, with Ramos, with the senior players, so he left. And now this seems to be a physio thing, and of course, I talked about this in my Eva Carneiro video as well. With the lack of transfers, is there something internally that's going wrong at Chelsea? And that was the question that was posed to Mourinho, and he just said, look, just a few days ago, I signed a new 4-year contract with the club. The club shows great faith in me. And when asked about the lack of transfer activities, Mourinho said, over the last 10 years, since Mr. Abramovich has come, Chelsea have spent a lot of money in transfers. We've had a very, very good, time in the transfer window, and Chelsea fans don't have a right to complain about it because Mr. Abramovich has shown a lot of commitment, and he's done great things in the transfer window for the last decade. So he just basically praised Abramovich a lot, which suggests that there's nothing wrong with the relationship between them, which was good to see. And he just reassured everybody there's nothing going wrong with the transfer. And he even mentioned this, which was kind of interesting as well. He said 2 seasons ago, people were complaining that we didn't sign a striker. But the reason we didn't do it was because we knew that we were going to sign Diego Costa next season. So people sometimes, forget to look at things in the long term. And that kind of got me thinking, is Chelsea lining up some ideas for next season? Because this has been a relatively quiet transfer window this year. Is Chelsea potentially lining up some moves for next season, looking into the future? And this got me thinking as well, John Stones, I talked about this before as well. I don't think, I don't think the best time to sign him would be this season. I think the better time to sign him would be next season, when he's a more developed player, when Ivanovic and John Terry are getting even older, and then when the transitional period comes more naturally, that will be a better time. So next season's summer transfer window would be a better time to sign John Stones. And maybe that's what Chelsea are thinking as well, which is maybe that's what's delaying us from putting that third bid in for John Stones. But other than John Stones, there could be a surprise coming. Maybe Chelsea are eyeing a midfielder or a striker for next season. Who knows? So this press conference just got me thinking a lot in these different things. And as I said, if you haven't watched it, I'd advise you to go watch it. But I think I just basically covered the main things. Of course, they did talk about the game as well, and I thought this was quite funny. Mourinho, before the press conference even began, so before the first question was posed to him, he started off by just saying, I really hope that this room isn't packed. I really hope that this room is packed because we're champions, because there is a huge game on Sunday. And because there's a huge game on Sunday, not because of other reasons. If you guys want to talk about football, I'm here. If you don't want to talk about football, I'm not here. That's how he began the press conference, and I thought that was really interesting. And despite that, the first question immediately asked was, "Is Eva Carneiro and John Stones, wow, and John Fearn gonna be on the bench?" Regardless of that, but still, it was interesting to see Mourinho come out and say he didn't look like he was under any pressure or under any stress. He looked comfortable. He looked relaxed. He looks confident. So I didn't see any lack of confidence or any sign of distress or discomfort in him. So I guess that was a positive sign as well. And that kind of summarizes it for today. I really hope that this has been an informative video about the press conference. But as I've said, I really urge you to go read about it or watch it in some way, because really it is one that you won't want to miss. And that kind of summarizes everything I want to say for today. Of course, tomorrow I'll be back with another transfer talk video. Hopefully there are some more transfer rumors tomorrow, because today everything's just been overshadowed by this press conference and because of the Eva Carneiro and John Fearn thing. But hopefully there are some more rumors today that I can talk about. And in tomorrow's transfer talk, I'll talk a bit more about Manchester City as well. That's gonna be interesting because it really is a massive game, and in a way it's a shame that such a big and important game has been overshadowed by this whole the physio situation going on at Chelsea. But I think when the day comes, people are gonna realize this is a huge game, and on Sunday everyone's gonna be focused on the game. Everyone's gonna forget about everything else, and all eyes will be on the game. And it'll be a great game, hopefully. But I'll talk more about it tomorrow in my transfer talk that'll be out tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in tomorrow's transfer talk. And until then, stay blue.